Welcome to part 3 of the Health and Wellness Conference. In part 2, we met several creative visionaries in the health sector, caring contributors committed to the tenets of their profession and innovating for better patient care. While there are many like them in the sector, a key problem with healthcare is that it is treated like a market composed of monopolies with few competitive forces at play. The approach keeps drug costs too high, invites private equity to exploit loopholes in the system, and can put people into serious debt. About 18% of U.S. citizens carry medical debt on their credit reports. New research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that collection agencies held $140 billion in unpaid medical bills. Healthcare costs remain the number one reason for personal bankruptcy in the U.S. Even for the insured, deductibles and out-of-pocket costs are often sky high. One recent step forward is the administration's No Surprise Act, initiated at the beginning of the year to protect patients nationwide from being hit by surprise medical bills. While the topic of the current system and its costs requires an extensive conference on that single topic, our program focuses on emerging directions that improve services, lower costs, and focus on prevention. Examples include new practices that accelerate the time frame from research to new therapies and products, new approaches to community health, services at lower costs for consumers, new products that monitor and promote personal health, and research on precision nutrition that can help prevent disease. We'll start with an example of an emerging trend in the academic sector: interdisciplinary, cross-department, and cross-sector collaborations. Historically, academic development of medical technologies, health-related therapies, and products has moved at a snail's pace as researchers worked in silos, and the long timeline cost millions of dollars and delayed innovations. To highlight the benefits of today's new approach, we invited a team from Johns Hopkins University, a top-ranked medical school, to share their work. Key team members are Dr. Supriya Munshaw, a lecturer at the Carey Business School at Johns Hopkins University, Mark VanderZyl, Associate Director of Startup Advancement for the Fast Forward Initiative at Johns Hopkins, and Josh Ambrose, Director of Student Ventures at the university.
I'm Supriya Munshaw. I'm faculty at the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School. At Johns Hopkins, we have a very multi-pronged approach to innovation. We work at bringing research to market in different ways. I have with me Josh Ambrose, who works at Fast Forward, and Mark VanderZyl, who works at Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures. We are all going to tell our story of how we contribute to ensuring that our world-class research at Johns Hopkins makes it to the market. Josh will tell us about Fast Forward, Mark will tell us about Tech Ventures, and then I will tell us about the Carey Business School.
It's a pleasure to get to chat about the great work we get to do here at Hopkins, and it's such a privilege to get creative with folks and think about moving these ideas out of the classroom and out into the world. The office that I oversee is Fast Forward U, which focuses on student entrepreneurs at the university, anywhere from undergrads to postdoc. And it fits within our tech transfer office, which we call JHTV, Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures, here at the university. With that unique positioning, I'm able to work with colleagues all over the college, all over the university, and that includes many initiatives within different academic departments and also within our tech transfer division. To give a sense of scale, last year we worked with over 230 student teams, pretty evenly split between undergraduate and graduate students. About 100 of those went through one of our 6 accelerator programs, and we support them with mentorship, co-working space, and with non-dilutive funding as well, all of which is fueled and informed by our alumni network, which I work very closely with. Joining me in all of that work is my colleague Mark, and I'll let him tell you a little more context about JHTV as a division and the work he's doing to support faculty in Hopkins-owned IP.
Certainly. Thank you, Josh and Professor Munshaw, who, if you'll forgive me, I'll refer to you as Supriya from now on. I was a business school student at one point also at the university. So now I think of us as colleagues, and I can hopefully drop the professor title. But I've been at Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures since before it was called that. As Josh mentioned, we sit with the Technology Transfer Office, which universities have had since the 1980s when we were able to commercialize federally funded research. But there was a real genesis in 2014 to do more at Hopkins, to take the great ideas that our faculty and our students are generating at the university, but to turn them into real commercial products and services and companies. There was a real change in the mission and mandate of the Tech Transfer Office to do more. We had the support of senior leadership from the president and trustees and senior faculty, and they were able to allot more resources toward creating staff positions like Josh's in line, support the core missions of the university, which has always stood for research, scientific discovery, and patient care, but to support that by actually taking some conceptual ideas and turning them into real impact in another format. We complemented the Technology Transfer Office with 2 other divisions, and then we stole some ideas from other universities and rebranded as Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures. I've spent that whole time focused on the entrepreneurial side of it, which within Johns Hopkins we call fast forward, like an accelerator, fast forwarding, moving these companies and technologies to market. It's a collaboration between the faculty and the different schools and the academic centers within the university. And as Josh mentioned, the alumni and committed partners within the community, both locally and globally, to try to move ideas from a conceptual stage to a more commercial ready stage.
At the business school, we actually train students in multiple ways. We, of course, have coursework that's related to entrepreneurship and innovation. In our full-time MBA program, we have a health, technology, and innovation pathway. In our flexible MBA program, we have an entrepreneurship-related specialization. And then outside of the classroom, our students engage in various activities that are in collaboration with Josh's team and Mark's team. Our students run a startup venture showcase with which Josh and Fast Forward have become quite involved. This is a startup competition that occurs every year. Our students also partake in initiatives like Social Innovation Lab, another initiative by Fast Forward. And then our students take advantage of Fast Forward to push their ideas into the market. We also collaborate with Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures. I actually co-teach a course where we collaborate with Johns Hopkins researchers, and student teams work with these researchers to assess the commercial feasibility of their technologies. Our students participate in what Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures calls a commercialization academy, which is where the students, with the help of mentors, will assess commercial feasibility of innovations that are coming out of Hopkins labs and researchers. Our students also participate in programs like HexSite, which is a technology commercialization program. So there are many opportunities at Carey to learn in the classroom of how research is brought into the marketplace as well as outside of the classroom. So we're closely involved in the network of Johns Hopkins and commercialization of research through our students.
Yeah, and Supriya, what's interesting about the Social Innovation Lab was actually a student-led initiative years ago that predates Fast Forward. There was an entrepreneurial, community, and mission-driven minded student who decided to collaborate. The Tech Transfer Office was combined with the Entrepreneurial Center, and that was coincidentally when I came to the university. So the Tech Transfer Office was part of the School of Medicine. Our schools of arts and science and engineering in our Homewood campus had their own intellectual property and licensing office. And the Social Innovation Lab was a student-run program. Fast Forward U didn't exist yet. And the Tech Transfer Office was in School of Medicine. So as you can imagine, that's rather disparate and siloed, as you can often hear from universities. So thankfully, Hopkins took the approach to co-locate many of those functions within what is now known as Johns Hopkins Technology Ventures. We sit centrally supporting all 9 schools of the university and report directly to President Daniel's office. And so it was nice to bring in some organic opportunities that were already existing, to identify student entrepreneurship and how important that is, in addition to the intellectual property owned by the university that would flow through tech transfer, and to really stand up what is now a really robust system that Josh runs at Fast Forward U, and to continue that kind of back and forth interplay between the academic centers, whether that's the design program within biomedical engineering, the business school that Supriya has described, the digital health accelerator within the Technology Innovation Center, which she also mentioned, and to be a coordinator, a collaborator of these multidisciplinary approaches within the university.
Just going to jump in here and say, I don't know how the two of you feel, but one of the things that's really struck me since coming to Hopkins is the need to just map the systems that are already there and in place. There's a lot going on. It's a big university. It has a rich history of initiatives and offices. And so when I first got here, even just on the student side, one of the first things that I did was revamp websites and create outlines and just try to map who's who in the ecosystem, getting more of a 30,000 foot bird's eye view. But I think is really indispensable to being able to figure out how to make connections that benefit these inventions, that benefit this technology. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about working with our colleagues over at Carey is connecting those MBA and those business students then with a life science team that may be coming from a very different side of the university, and vice versa, all across the board. At our Fast Forward U offices, I've been able to connect with students from all 9 schools at Hopkins, including our music school, our medicine, School of Nursing, and encouraging those connections, which I think are so indispensable to a life of creativity and innovation, are just core to, I think, the work that Mark and I do at Fast Forward and HTV, but also across all of these initiatives on campus.
Yeah, and there's been sort of a noticeable culture change even within the faculty in the last few years where many faculty are thinking translationally. A lot of it is to do with this expansion of Fast Forward and bringing resources together, and faculty have some place to go to bring their research into commercialization. And there's motivation to do that. There's student-student collaborations, but also student-faculty collaborations. Like you mentioned, the program at Whiting, the design program where students observe surgeries, they observe other procedures, and they are able to then come up with innovations in partnership with faculty at the School of Medicine. And some of these lead to startups. So there's been quite a bit of transformation of the way research is looked at Johns Hopkins and since I've been here.
I've seen collaborations where someone was doing a research to market program within the business school, paired with the Tech Ventures office and with inventors, and actually formed a relationship with the inventors and gone on. People have met through that program and then become the business leads for our faculty inventors. Because by and large, our faculty remain at the university and continue to do research and may act in an advisory capacity to any startups that spin out of their research. But then we need to align them with entrepreneurs, with business leads. And I've seen it from MBA students and from professors at the business school aligning with our inventors. It shows the progression of how Hopkins has expanded over the years to creating a business school, 20, 30 years ago, and creating a Tech Ventures office, and most recently to an announcement in data science and artificial intelligence, and really thinking about the commercial impact of the research that's been going on here. What I think, without overly flattering Supriya here, what Josh and I and others have the benefit of is representing really intelligent people that are here at the university. The students and the faculty are quite bright. And it's our privilege to connect them to opportunities and maybe help fulfill some of the potential of those research ideas. And it really attracted me to this opportunity a number of years ago. I'm still quite bullish about the potential of Hopkins because we haven't had as a mature of a Tech Ventures ecosystem as some of our peer institutions, and still a relatively new initiative that has really gained some momentum in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, Mark, it might be helpful to just kind of give a sense of scale here. And so just kind of maybe working backwards here for folks, the student initiatives that I oversee are really going into our 5th year. I've been joking that we're going into our graduate year after our 4-year undergrad. Over the last 5+ years, the student teams and the social innovation lab teams that we've interfaced with have raised over $200 million so far. And that's a pretty conservative number. It doesn't count money raised beforehand, and it doesn't count other sources of bootstrapping and family funds or revenue. We've had some teams that have famously made with a mask team during COVID that folks may have heard of that very publicly did over $45 million of sales in 1 year. So that number doesn't capture any of that. But that's really a drop in the bucket compared to our faculty and Hopkins owned IP. And Mark, maybe you can say a little bit more about that and the
Yeah.
work you've been doing there.
Yeah, certainly. I think that's why I was saying about we get the benefit of representing this broad bench of deep science and expertise at the university. Hopkins lays claim to being the first research university in the United States, and for now, I believe 42 consecutive years, is the leading recipient of federal research dollars. So innovation has been at the core and the bedrock of this university since its inception. Annually, we see between 400 and 500 invention reports through our technology transfer office. We are globally in the top 10 for U.S. patents issued by nonprofit research organizations on a regular basis. So that's kind of the breadth of what's going on here. And we would see, on average, about 10 to 20 new companies formed each year based on faculty research. And to the best of our knowledge, there's around 150 active across the globe right now. And those range from a company that just formed last month to publicly traded companies. And our support is indefinite as long as there's a relationship still intact. And our support could be at any point along that continuum. It's that while Josh has mentioned and Supriya mentioned different accelerators that run throughout the years, the technology ventures spectrum of support isn't finite and it isn't contained to 6 or 12-month period. It's really throughout that journey of, could I be a company through a larger company? And while I'm using the word company and startup often, that's where I spend most of my time with Fast Forward. Technology Ventures is focused on commercialization. So there's a number of licenses and agreements with pre-existing companies, large corporations and other startups from other institutions, where every year we're doing the majority of our licensing activity to existing companies. We also have over 20 active ongoing corporate collaborations with our office, where we're partnered with industry, where they're often bringing funding to fund research with the aims of commercializing that research on the back end. We have these ongoing partnerships. So between the corporate partnerships, our licensing, and our Fast Forward teams, there's a really robust team of around 90 of us working in the Technology Ventures office, plus 30 student fellows in the Commercialization Academy that Supriya mentioned earlier. When I came in 2014, there were 50. So to show like sort of the percentage increase of the people and the resources that Hopkins has put in place over the years is quite illustrative of the commitment that the university has made. When Technology Ventures was formed, there was a committee led by some senior faculty, and we did an exploratory search externally, look at other universities and private incubators, accelerators, and see what works well and what we could apply to our strengths at Johns Hopkins, and specifically in Baltimore and the Mid-Atlantic, where the majority of our operations reside. Why is this important? Why is this something that's an initiative and we'll allocate new resources to at Johns Hopkins? And first and foremost, it was to make an impact with the research and the bright minds that are here at the university. Second, it's a tool for us to attract and retain talent to the institution. Third is a way to make a local economic development impact on our surrounding community. Johns Hopkins is the largest private employer in the state of Maryland, but we can also be a job multiplier and a vehicle to attract outside capital to the region, where we can create jobs, create new initiatives, and improve the surrounding communities that are where Johns Hopkins lives and resides. So we can not only be in Baltimore, but of Baltimore. And last, but not necessarily least, is another stream of revenue to the institution. Johns Hopkins has a lot of revenue and a lot of expenditures. So when you can be a new source of revenue to an institution with a small margin, that can be really impactful to support further initiatives and continue to support the mission that Johns Hopkins has stood for since inception.
I'll follow up with just a personal note. One of the things that attracted me here, and certainly a thing that keeps me to this work, is that, every day you wake up and you read the headlines, and newsflash, they're not always the most cheerful. And there's a lot of big challenges and there's a lot of big problems. And I get to come in and meet with students and faculty and folks that are inherently invested in making the world a better place and thinking creatively about how to address those opportunities and to make progress. And that to me is deeply gratifying on every personal level. And it's what keeps me doing this work and enjoying the work, and to be able to help move the needle or make a connection or give a little bit of advice here and there. That's a lot of fun. And so it's good work, and I'm very grateful for it.
Next, we will hear from the leader of a program dedicated to improving community health through networks of cooperating organizations and cross-sector collaboration. Collen Flynn, co-director of Build Healthy Places, will share the goals of this purpose-focused national network.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Collen Flynn with Build Healthy Places Network, and I'm here today to talk to you about cross-sector partnerships to create healthy and equitable communities. We are a national center bridging the gap between the healthcare and community development sectors, and our aim is to advance racial equity throughout the United States to create communities that are healthy and prosperous. The way that we do this work is we have a lot of tools and resources that we provide to the field. So we do a lot of field building, have a lot of convenings we do both virtually and in person, and engage across the sectors. A lot of times people think about social determinants of health, and I think about social needs type interventions at the individual level. And what we want to think about is to get to more upstream, as you see on this slide here, to think about the drivers of community health and what that looks like, and being able to really think about how to get to the root causes of some of these issues. This map is also showing that if you're looking at social needs versus social determinants of health, that the tactics you're using are very different between the two. So another framework that we use in our work are the 7 vital conditions for health and well-being. And the reason why we use this framework is that it incorporates everything from thinking about humane housing to thinking about the environmental impact in our neighborhoods to thinking about education. So how can we create communities where community voice and community power are at the center of these conversations and are part of the vital conditions for health and well-being? The two sectors that we really think are ready-made partners and what we focus on in our work is community development, because they are really invested in building wealth, thinking about economic development opportunities, thinking about affordable housing, schools, community centers, all the bricks and mortar needed to create a healthy community. And then healthcare, because healthcare is increasingly investing in creating health and well-being in neighborhoods. And a lot of that comes from the Affordable Care Act and this idea of thinking about prevention. Healthcare spends annually, by our estimates, about $4 trillion a year on chronic diseases. So 80% of those costs go to chronic diseases. And most chronic diseases, as we know, are preventable. Most chronic diseases happen in historically marginalized neighborhoods. So we want to be able to flip that paradigm and have the healthcare industry work with community development industry. With the Community Reinvestment Act from the 70s, there's a lot of money that is now invested in historically marginalized neighborhoods, and it's coming from different banks and institutions. So those chronic disease can reduce, and we can have healthier communities where more people have access to career pathways, healthy, stable housing, multimodal transportation, everything you'd want to think about if you're living in a healthy, prosperous community. I do want to lay out some of the potential roles for healthcare and creating community. They have a lot of advocacy that they can use to support policies that can shift investment into historically marginalized communities. And we saw that a lot during COVID when healthcare started to support things like tenant protections, making sure people were not kicked out of their homes, helping to build more affordable housing, especially housing that has support services on site. Another thing that healthcare can utilize is their anchor institution roles. We see a lot of community development healthcare partnering to co-locate. So there might be affordable housing with a grocery store, with a medical clinic, and this helps to create a hub of activities to support people's well-being. So one example I wanted to share is in Florida, where a community development organization named Lift Orlando created a large fund to be able to create a community that now has senior housing, mixed income apartments, an early learning center, boys and girls club, community health and wellness center, a big park with lots of different amenities for the community. And to be able to do this, they created a big fund to acquire this land and then develop it. And there were 3 healthcare institutions, some of them health payers, that provided almost $10 million towards the fund. And that's Abbott Health, Orlando Health, and Florida Blue. So I did want to just identify the different roles that these organizations are playing. So Lift Orlando, the community-based organization, was able to provide the role of their local leadership and commitment to collaboration so that socially people that lived in these communities could really interact with one another in different methods and modalities. A second opportunity is really interesting and ties back to the point that I made earlier about one of the roles that healthcare can play is that they might have land available. So in this scenario, a local organization really wanted to build housing in a farm and create a whole kind of community health hub. And the land wasn't quite right that they wanted to develop for that purpose, but they did have some land available. So they were able to do a land swap with the healthcare, with Stanford Health, be able to create this village of kind of healthy activities, which I'll share in a moment. And then the hospital was able to utilize another piece of land for their medical services. So now it's called the Vita Wellness Area, and it encapsulates housing, a huge vegetable and fruit farm, workforce development activities, a local small school, early childhood, and lots of different other activities in this space. Again, the role of the Community Development Corporation, which was called Charter Oaks Communities, was able to involve the Housing Authority to think about replacing outdated public housing, which is much needed for this area. They had a range of ability to be able to finance a project like this that the hospital didn't really have the capacity to do. And then they provided, again, the land to swap with the hospital. The hospital was motivated because they were looking to expand the hospital campus, and this was a perfect area for the land swap. So it made a lot of sense. They had a commitment to population health. That's another reason why they were interested in this partnership. And then they really wanted to think about strategic ways that they could engage with residents to support some of the healthcare and hospitals' role and activities in supporting things like a veggie prescription program, physical activity program, nutrition program. And so they have this captive audience with residents on site. This is my information, my email address in case you'd like to get a hold of me, and also links to our website. And I did just want to share a couple other resources with you if you would like to do a deeper dive into Build Healthy Places Network. One is that we have a lot of resources and tools on site and various different tool books. One of the areas that we focus on is thinking a lot about rural health. Right now, we know that there's a lot of hospital closures in rural areas. And so being able to build cross-sector partnerships and thinking about the health of the community in a region. So this gives a lot of case studies on that topic. We have another tool book on economic development activities and how healthcare and community can come together to share those types of activities. And then the last playbook is just a general partnership for health playbook on how cross-sector partners can come together. And it gives a whole pathway of steps that organizations could take to bring communities together and cross-sector partners together. And then our most recent tool is really exciting. It's actually a policy tool that thinks about how to create equitable policy processes for multi-sector health efforts. And what's really interesting about this playbook, as you'll see, is it talks a lot about these different frameworks we're using. And one of the frameworks that we talk extensively about is a community engagement process to ensure that if you're working at a community level and thinking about community wellness, that you're thinking about the engagement process to engage the community in the onset, and then how to make sure that you're really creating community-driven and community-led efforts. Thank you so much for your time. And please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Build Healthy Places is not alone in the work of creating healthier communities. The American Medical Center for Health Justice, a project of the Association of American Medical Colleges, believes that giving every community an equitable chance of being healthy means looking beyond medical care alone. As you learned in Part 2, there are persistent political, economic, racial, and social inequities and injustices that affect under-resourced communities. The Center for Health Justice focuses on these challenges and partners with other organizations, community leaders, and community members to achieve goals. Phylicia McCalla, Director of Operations at the American Medical Center for Health Justice, will share their story.
Hello, my name is Dr. Phylicia McCalla, and I am the Director of Operations at the AAMC Center for Health Justice. Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to share an overview of the AAMC Center for Health Justice and the important work we do in service of knowledge building and sharing and increasing trustworthiness and confidence in communities. The Association of American Medical Colleges is a nonprofit dedicated to improving the health of people everywhere through medical education, healthcare, medical research, and community collaborations. At the AAMC Center for Health Justice, we believe that every community should have an equitable chance of being healthy, and we remind ourselves often that health equity is our goal and health justice is the path that gets us there. The center was launched in September of 2021 during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has shown us just how devastating health inequities are and highlighted the polarizing gaps within our society. It also showed us that we need to learn from each other, and we have the best chance of accomplishing more at the speed we need because we really do not have any time to lose. To promote health equity, we've operationalized a health justice framework that has one foot planted in community wisdom and multi-sector partnerships, recognizing that those closest to injustice are also those closest to the solutions to that injustice. To gather community wisdom, we lean on the knowledge and expertise of AAMC Charge and Multi-Sector Partner Group. The other foot is planted in a research to policy action imperative that includes evidence for policy changes at all levels, including federal, state, local, and organizational. And we use both feet to walk toward health justice in an anti-racist, anti-discriminatory way to address the social, racial, and economic injustices that are the fundamental causes of health inequities. At the Center for Health Justice, we strive to, 1, engage the health justice community, 2, build evidence and share expertise, and 3, ease the path to health equity. One way we engage the health justice community is through AAMC Charge, which stands for Collaborative for Health Equity, Act, Research, Generate Evidence. Charge is an interprofessional and cross-disciplinary group of health equity scholars and champions across the country. The group gathers to facilitate and advance collaborative research, policy, and programmatic evidence-based solutions to health inequities. They also share accomplishments, crowdsource opportunities for professional development, and collaborate on policy work that impacts health equity at institutional, local, state, and federal level. More recently, the center partnered with AAMC Charge to co-develop a health justice research agenda in service of our commitment to using research to inform policies and practices that address systematic inequalities and promote the vital conditions for all communities. In early 2022, we launched a national call for nominations to our multi-sector partner group, a group that would convene as paid consultants for a 3-year term to guide the work of the center. These individuals bring diverse backgrounds, perspectives, and lived and work experiences into the group. Most importantly, they represent sectors that embody the vital conditions for health: environment, healthcare, education, public health, law, housing, transportation, social and community affairs, community and economic development, food and water, and the arts. In fact, one of the partners in today's Health and Wellness Conference, Build Healthy Places Network, is a member of our multi-sector partner group and is represented by Dr. Ruth Thomas Squans. Together, this group has used and will continue to use their expertise and leadership to contribute to the strategy and agenda of the Center for Health Justice. Establishing authentic partnerships is at the core of the Center for Health Justice, and we understand that those authentic partnerships are built on trust. A long and ongoing history of mistreatment and abuse has fostered logical mistrust and distrust in the healthcare system and other institutions across diverse communities. It's up to those institutions to work to demonstrate they are worthy of their community's trust. That is why the center developed the Principles of Trustworthiness Toolkit as a foundational, ready-to-use framework and resource for organizations working to become trustworthy partners to their communities through humility, authenticity, intersectionality, and long-term commitment. The toolkit contains 10 principles that integrate local perspectives, including AAMC charge, to guide healthcare, public health, and other organizations as they work to demonstrate they are trustworthy. It includes the kinds of questions, discussions, and activities that will help an organization and its community unpack the principles of trustworthiness, explore how they can come to life locally, and determine what local actions might be taken to demonstrate trust. These resources are available to all on our website. As we think about building evidence and sharing expertise, the center conducts nationally represented polling to ask the public about the health equity issues that matter to them. We then release research briefs to share what communities have to say about their own opportunities for health. For our most recent polling brief, we focused on Gen Z, ages 18 to 24, with the purpose of learning more about their attitudes about some of the social factors that influence health and health equity. Gen Z has matured to adulthood during years where there has been increased awareness of the effects of social influences on individual and population health. In terms of political ideology, 24% of individuals in our sample identified themselves as conservative. 50% of individuals identified themselves as liberal, and 26% of individuals identified themselves as moderate. Although there is generally a divide on social issues across political ideologies, there are many important areas of widespread agreement among Gen Z. Here are some of the stats. More than half of Gen Z agree that reproductive justice, racial justice, housing affordability, gun violence, and climate change should be a top priority for the federal government to address. Our poll found that 87% of Gen Z agreed with the statement, access to healthcare is a basic human right, including 77% of conservative Gen Z. Across key demographics such as race, ethnicity, political ideology, religion, region, sexuality, and metropolitan status, nearly 3/4 of Gen Z said access, affordability, and quality are essential elements in improving healthcare. Gen Z believes that inequalities are present in the US healthcare system, and 2/3 agree that systematic racism is a public health crisis. The findings of this poll highlight that although ideological differences persist among members of Gen Z, there is a sense of softening demarcation across topics that have previously been thought of as politically polarizing. Gen Z is absolutely a political and social force to be reckoned with, and is continuing to increase their power to champion the vital conditions of health and well-being. If you are interested in our Gen Z poll or any of our previous polls, you can find our polling briefs on our website to learn more. So feel free to connect with us to continue the conversation. You can visit our website at aamchealthjustice.org. You can email us at healthjustice@aamc.org. Follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. Our handle is @AAMCjustice. And you can use the UR code on the screen to sign up for the Center for Health Justice newsletter to stay up to date on the center. Thank you.
The trend toward lowering costs and making access to healthcare easier has resulted in the emergence of new services that grew significantly during the pandemic, no doubt because of their ready access and lower costs. Telehealth or telemedicine is built around teams of doctors linked through information technology and who work together in a coordinated fashion. According to the American Medical Association, more and more doctors are choosing to become employees rather than work for themselves. In fact, the share of U.S. doctors in private practice dropped below 50% in 2021. This movement toward employment and integration enables doctors to share electronic health records, communicate across specialties, and leverage virtual care to help patients in ways that physicians in solo practice can't. Telemedicine can also reduce unnecessary and expensive trips to the ER. Many people go to the ER because they have no other place to go. Trips to the ER cost more than $32 billion each year, according to a 2019 analysis by United Health Group. Telemedicine can treat chronic disease and make specialty care more efficient. Looking ahead, Harvard Business Review believes a prepaid, integrated, tech-enabled system in which teams of primary care and specialty physicians work together to deliver exceptional care can augment today's fragmented system and boost quality and affordability. Urgent care centers offer another approach to lowering costs and providing ready access. These centers offer a faster and less costly option to a hospital emergency room when the illness or injury is not life-threatening. In 2018, there were 8,250 urgent care centers in the U.S. They are accessible, usually open 7 days a week, with evening hours Monday through Friday, and you don't need an appointment. You can just walk in. Staff at urgent care centers diagnose and treat a wide range of conditions, ranging from sprains to injuries to infections to insect bites and more. Most offer lab services, x-rays, and prescriptions as well. There are currently about 2,000 mobile health clinics serving urban and rural communities. They are an innovative model of healthcare delivery that could help alleviate health disparities in vulnerable populations. Studies show they're particularly impactful in providing preventive health screenings and chronic disease management. By opening their doors directly into communities and leveraging existing community assets, mobile health clinics can offer tailored, high-impact, and affordable care that responds directly to the community's evolving needs. Today, more citizens are taking personal responsibility for monitoring their own health through lifestyle changes such as diet, bicycling, running, and walking. Our young generations, millennials and Gen Z, are very focused on health. This attention to health has grown an industry of fitness centers and home fitness equipment. It has added a wide array of personal services, including on-site and online fitness coaching. In addition to smartphone technology, wearable technology is adding to the options available for monitoring health. Smart clothing is the newest source of data collection for health monitoring of both highly active people, such as athletes and runners, to people with health conditions where data can help improve outcomes. Sharlene Jerome, Marketing Director of Sensoria, will highlight the company's innovative products and their benefits.
My name is Sharlene Jerome, and I'm the Marketing Manager for Sensoria. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to introduce you to our innovative products. On this slide, you can see that my co-founders are former Microsoft executives, Davide Vicano, our CEO, and Maurizio Meccano, our CTO. We have assembled a complete multidisciplinary team, mostly on the engineering side, so that we can design, develop, and commercialize products from the ground up. We have experts ranging from signal processing to mechanical engineers, electrical, even garment engineers. We believe that the garment can actually become the next wearable personal computer by injecting sensing technology. We call this transparent computing. We have created a full human augmentation platform. This platform consists of proprietary textile pressure sensors, microelectronics combined with artificial intelligence algorithms, machine learning, customized mobile applications, and a robust cloud infrastructure. So what makes the Sensoria Smart Socks so unique? We have 3 proprietary textile pressure sensors embedded into the plantar area of the foot at the first metatarsal, the 5th metatarsal, and at the calcaneus bone. Now, we looked for sensors in the marketplace from a flexibility, reliability, repeatability standpoint, and they just didn't exist. So we created our own proprietary textile pressure sensors that are now patented. Sensoria Core is a 9-axis IMU, or inertial measurement unit. What that means is that it has a 3-axis accelerometer, a 3-axis magnetometer, and a 3-axis gyroscope. It is literally 1 square inch in size and weighs less than 8 grams and can connect up to 7 analog sensors natively out of the box. We have created multiple form factors, as you can see here, but the capabilities are still the same. We originally began as a B2C company branded as Sensoria Fitness. We needed to prove our concept, so we first launched the Smart Socks for distance runners. The socks can capture metrics not only to tell you how far and how fast you run, but how well you run. We not only have smart socks, but we have a fully connected running system comprised of smart upper garments, a sports bra for women and a t-shirt for men, which have embedded electrodes so that you don't have to wear those nasty running straps any longer. It comes with our own heart rate monitor, or you can connect to your favorite one, let's say Polar or Garmin, for instance. We measure not only heart rate monitoring, HRM, but also HRV, our heart rate variability. Our Sensoria Run application provides real-time feedback to the runner. The data collected is then shared with you via a dashboard, as you can see on the right-hand side of this slide, and it can tell you your performance by session, by week, day, etc. The app also includes a shoe closet where you can compare your performance in the different shoes that you own. You can choose to share some or all of this data with a coach or your personal trainer. We next decided to focus more on a B2B side of business, using Sensoria Core to what we call Internet of Me, or IOME. In 2019, we pivoted to the healthcare space. We are now the leading developers of this RPM, wearables, and artificial intelligence software solutions that help improve people and patients' lives. In the center of this slide, you will see the smart socks capturing the center of mass or balance data. On the left-hand side, we have a smart knee brace. This is for people that have gone through ACL, MCL, or other ligament construction surgeries. The smart diabetic foot boot on the right side of the slide is for treating what are called diabetic foot ulcers in collaboration with a company called Defender. The name of the boot is Defender Plus, powered by Sensoria. It was designed by former Nike executives and styled after the Nike Air Jordan. The boot is designed to be a stabilization and offloading device, which measures activity and adherence. On the bottom left, you can see Sensoria Baby. We were originally contacted by a helicopter pilot and his wife, who had just given birth to a rowdy little infant named Sebastian. Sensoria Baby is a prototype in development, which can monitor a baby's position in the crib and breathing rate, providing much needed peace of mind, especially for new parents. Lastly, on the bottom right-hand corner, you can see Sensoria Math. This was created in conjunction with our partner, Rancho Los Amigos National Rehabilitation Center in Downey, California. It's predominantly for wheelchair users, spinal cord injury patients, but also for the elderly. It reminds you to perform what are called pressure relief activities. Sensoria Mat has two options. You can see here a full cushion, or you can just use a sensorized insert with your favorite cushion. Now we focus primarily on the smart socks and their applicability in healthcare. In an independent study conducted by the University of Sherbrooke in Canada, our smart socks were on par or better than expensive gait lab systems in measuring what are called spatio-temporal parameters, and at a fraction of the cost. Gait lab systems like Mobility Lab can cost in excess of $250,000, while a pair of smart socks retails for $398. The best part is that you only need to purchase the Sensoria Core device once, as it is attachable and detachable, and additional pairs of socks are only $69. Smart Socks has a multitude of applications, including helping with neurological diseases like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, stroke, etc. In fact, thanks in part to a grant by the Michael J. Fox Foundation, our socks are being used in a clinical trial of 60 Parkinson's disease patients. With PD, patients often suffer from a condition called freezing of gait, or fog. They describe it as their feet feeling glued to the ground. In our latest version of the Smart Sock, we have incorporated haptic motors at the ankle bone level. By cueing the patients with these haptic vibrations, we can reduce the risk of falls. PD patients are 5 times more likely to fall than their cohorts in the same age group. Here you can see how our actual remote patient monitoring system works. The Sensoria Core device on the left-hand side connects to the garment or footwear and communicates wirelessly to a mobile application, either a smartwatch or a smartphone. The app provides behavioral feedback. The app sends the information to a color-coded clinician dashboard where they can see the holistic view of their patient population. Green or blue indicates proper adherence. Yellow means that they are in and out of the ranges of normality set by the clinician, and red indicates that there may need to be an escalation of care. You can drill down onto each patient and see a calendar view. This enables both you and your clinician to have quantified conversations. I hope that you enjoy learning about Sensoria and our suite of products in wellness and healthcare.
Wearable X is another company creating tech-infused workout clothing. Their product, Nadia X, is especially popular with those who love yoga. Billie Whitehouse, founder of Wearable X, will talk about her products and how they benefit those who wear them in their workouts.
My name is Billie Whitehouse. I'm the founder and CEO of Wearable X. At Wearable X, we really care about making technologies that help us live well. And we have three core pillars that we believe in to help us live well: connecting with ourselves and understanding our bodies, connecting with each other, and connecting with our surroundings. I'm going to focus on the first two today. I'm going to give you an explanation of the technologies that we build and how we've approached this in this new area of smart textiles and technology. So, what is Wearable X? We are one of the world's most innovative companies, as named by Fast Company, and we are the leading haptic wellness apparel brand. Now, what haptic wellness apparel brand means is that we integrate vibrational feedback into clothing so that it's washable, it's tumble dryable, and it's wearable. It's also very stretchable, and it comes in multiple different forms. What we've really focused on for the last 5 years is how we could use this vibrational feedback for posture and for yoga. This is our core product. It is called Nadi X. It's a yoga line that has integrated sensors as well as haptic feedback. Now, those sensors are located in the hips, the knees, and the ankles. And what that allows us to do is measure your posture, measure your yoga position, and give you feedback via vibrational feedback on the body. This is all paired with a smartphone. It has audio to guide you through each one of the poses. And essentially then at the end of each pose, it evaluates your pose using the sensor values and then determines whether you made it into the pose or if you need to go back and try again. Now, this really started because I am not very flexible. I was a runner. I really love running. I have that runner's high, but it meant that I became really stiff and really terrible at yoga. And I found myself going to yoga because it's really good for your running practice, but I was really struggling. And I'd go to class and I'd end up next to the person who could pretzel and I'd feel bad about myself. And what I ended up doing was building a product that would help serve me and the people like me who really want to be able to practice yoga at home and on their own terms. So this allows you to take the yoga practice into your house, but with the guidance of the teacher. Now, what's important is how we've built the actual product. And what we focused on was the things that are really important to people. You need to be able to have a stretchable product. It needs to be really comfortable. You need to be able to manufacture these things at scale. And you need to be able to translate it into multiple different shapes and sizes. This platform has been manipulated into multiple different shapes and sizes. And the reality is it needed to be stretchable so it could fit into multiple parts of the body. So this is what the platform looks like. There is hardware, software, and apparel. And the pulse that clips behind the left knee, it actually sits in the arc of the knee so that you can lie flat and you won't actually feel a thing. And once that's clipped in, then the pants are powered. And essentially then the sensor values will work and then the haptic feedback will work. You just unclip that when you're ready to take it to the washing machine, put it in the washing machine, then put it in the dryer. And this is all connected back to our software. That's where the machine learning works so that we can actually determine how well you're doing your yoga practice. And then the vibration happens back on the actual body with the integrated hardware. So what's really important is being able to connect with one's body. And so this product is called Nadi X, and the Nadi is actually a Sanskrit word. It's about the channels that exist around the body when your chakras are aligned. Ultimately, your own Nadi can vibrate. And what this product is asking you to do is actually listen back to your body and take that time to feel your way into the posture. We really believe in audio and visual guidance, in tactile guidance, and in this understanding of where you are in your posture. So there's proprioception of where your body is in time and space. Now that becomes really important when it comes to recovery. And we recently did a study with a physical therapy team in Pennsylvania to validate whether someone who has lower back pain could actually have an increased recovery time and decreased pain if they were practicing yoga and specific postures with our product. And we actually saw an average of a 16% decrease in pain score for those who practice yoga regularly with our product over a 4-week period. This goes far beyond yoga pants. This can go into many different areas of wellness, physical fitness, gaming, sports, entertainment. We've actually made everything from fan jerseys that connect to live sports data to navigational products. And we have to continue to evolve and evaluate how this technology can be built into our lifestyles. There are big industries at play here. When it comes to wellness, that's a $3.7 trillion industry, sports medicine, $9 billion, physical therapy, $34.5 billion. These are all areas that we are actively looking at, not to mention areas of femtech and maternity, which are areas that are very important to me personally, and some unique opportunities for how our technology can actually play a role in these spaces. What's important to think about as we get to this world of post-COVID is our at-home experiences. For the first time ever, we are spending more time at home now than ever before. So it's really important for us to focus on not only how this product exists inside the home and what wellness looks like inside the home, but also then how do you take it with us? In this post-COVID world where we actually are much more mobile, you don't want a product that just lives in one room of the house. You want a product that actually comes with you. That was really important for us in building our technology, was making sure that it was transportable, something that you could go for a run with it and then take your yoga practice and have your stretching time halfway through, after, before your run, however you like to practice. That was ultimately what we really wanted to achieve. Now what's really important to the industry, what is important to us as humans, is we build technologies and products that we believe are useful and helpful for people. Sustainability is at the core, and we have to think about the life cycle of a product. What's really important with sustainability and often ignored is how long does the product last and how long until someone throws it out. When we were doing our early exploration for this, all products were originally made out of bamboo spandex. Bamboo is a really interesting fiber. It is far more sustainable to produce than, say, a nylon or a cotton. That being said, it actually wastes away far quicker. So there's a lot more work that needs to be done on those particular fibers in terms of giving them longevity. So what we found is that the bamboo products we wanted to use were actually deteriorating after sort of 10 washes rather than after 500 washes. And so that is really important to think about, because otherwise these products just go to landfill. We actually ask everyone to return their products to us so that we can actually recycle the electronics properly. That is something that we want to look after, because the truth is that most people don't. And we want to make sure that we meet industry wash and dry standards, always thinking about your customers' comfort above anything else, and making sure that you can scale. I hope you've learned something interesting about wearable technology, how it can potentially integrate in wellness and certainly into your apparel. I have some sort of wonderful personal learnings also, and these come from 10 years of being in this industry, and they really start with essentially loving your customer. You must stay true to what you truly believe in. And for us, that's always been, how do we make technologies that help us live well by connecting to yourself, to others, and to the places that you love. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can find us at wearablex.com or at wearablex on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you all.
In closing, we want to review one more trend that can have extraordinary value to human well-being and can contribute significantly to lowering healthcare costs. The growing investment in personal health may be augmented in the not-too-distant future by new research taking place with the National Institutes of Health All of Us research program. The work focuses on the emerging science of precision nutrition. The objective of precision nutrition is to develop recommendations based on individual variables such as genetics, microbiome, and metabolic profiles, on health status, physical activity, dietary patterns, and on socioeconomic characteristics. It seeks to understand the question, what should I eat to be healthy? Recognizing that what is helpful for one individual may not be the same for another. This focus has been driven by increasing consumer interest in individualized products and services, coupled with advances in technology, analytics, and omics science. While true individualization is just a glimmer on the horizon, it holds great promise as a tool to improve health span. Accelerating advancement will require investment in multidisciplinary collaborations and development of user-friendly tools, the engagement of healthcare professionals and payers to support equitable and broader adoption of precision nutrition as medicine shifts toward preventive and personalized approaches, as well as system-wide collaboration between stakeholders to advocate a regulatory framework to maintain consumer trust and engagement, and allow precision nutrition to reach its full potential. We are pleased to close the Health and Wellness Conference with an introduction to this new promise. A review of the previous conference on the food system can be helpful to see connections that link emerging directions in food production to individual health as well. We hope this three-part program on emerging concerns and directions in the health sector and the creative contributors who participated gave you insight into the potential for increasing the well-being of the planet, of your community, and yourself.